A very exciting panel session starting up with a wonderful young entrepreneur. She will be the moderator of this session. She has a great company called the Upright Project. How many people have heard of that? Already? Jesus, they've only been alive 7 weeks or something. And already, like a third of the people know who they are. I didn't know who they were, but they make companies upright and in a very intelligent way what their impact is. What wonderful new company. And she'll be asking all kinds of exciting questions to more established companies and their view on technology, on women in tech. From a man, yes, we have a man with us, and a great women leader from 2 great companies. So we have the chair of Nokian Tyres and the Vice President of Facility Services at Lassila and Tikanoja. So please welcome all 3. Look at a huge round of applause. Our moderator, Annu, it's not Hannu, Annu Nieminen. Please welcome her and her 2 wonderful colleagues. So, Petteri, Walldén, and Tutu Wegelius-Lehtonen. Tervetuloa, welcome.
So, happy afternoon, all you beautiful and handsome people. I hope you all have your tummies filled with delicious lunch and are ready to tackle the afternoon. We've heard some pretty great stories this morning about tech. And in particular, we heard from 4 exceptional women about their careers and all of the crazy things that they are concretely doing in the fields of technology today. Now we're going to shift the focus a little bit for the afternoon and talk about a topic that has to do with helping one another to actually build those careers in technology. We're talking about coaching. That can take various different forms. We can talk about informal coaching of just sitting down at a dinner with 4 of your friends and really coaching each other to figure out what is it really that you want to do in life. After all, having heard the discussions in the morning, it can be either in space or in energy, and there are so many things we can actually tackle, so many interesting problems in the world. So we might need some coaching and help from our friends, not just from our own brains. Or it can take the form of a more formal relationship, such as even a formal mentoring relationship. Today we're really lucky to have 2 guinea pigs here on stage, and 2 people who actually have been a coach and a coachee for quite some time, and they have promised to share a little bit of their story for us today. But before we get started, I would like to understand a little bit where we stand in terms of all of us and our experience with coaching. So raise your hand if you think that you have at some point of your life, in some format, received some kind of coaching. Okay, wow, that's a whole lot of you guys. Okay, interesting. Raise your hand if you right now feel like you have a dedicated coach or mentor, or some kind of not just a sporadic relationship, but something that keeps happening on a more or less regular basis. Okay, wow, kind of a lot of you, cool. Okay, let's turn this around. How many of you feel like you've given some kind of coaching to another human being in his or her career? Wow, this really makes me happy. Also, a lot of you are coaching. What about how many of you are at the moment what you would say a dedicated coach or mentor to someone? Excellent, really good. So we have a lot of expertise in the audience as well. However, I suggest we now really dig deeper into the story of Tutu and Petteri, because they've come all the way here to share their secrets about their relationship. So first I would like to ask you, Tutu, when and how did you actually become a coachee of Petteri? And what really happened? Where did the story begin?
Let's go back 20 years. I was about your age. And I was a postgraduate student and project manager at the Helsinki University of Technology. Nowadays, I think Aalto. Yes. And I got a task to supervise one master thesis connected with supply chain management. Mm-hmm. And Petteri was one of the financier of that master thesis. And during that process, we get to know each other. And I don't know what he saw in me, because after a couple of years, he called me when he was started as a CEO of Ensto. And he asked that now I need some help because here is some need for supply chain management knowledge, and that was the starting point. And definitely it was not coaching or mentoring in the beginning. I think it started like that, but after 20 years I can say that it's probably the deepest form of mentoring at the moment.
Cool. So Petteri, does this story you just heard, does it match at all what you remember happened? And why did you choose Tutu of all people to coach and help?
Yeah, sorry, my voice a little bit got caught, but we try to manage. That's why I have a couple of cups of tea here. But in principle, yes. But it was recruiting Tutu in the first hand after knowing with this thesis project. And when recruiting somebody directly, not to any office, so I'm always looking to the eyes. Is there any movement? Because, if there are only pupils, and you don't see anything, I don't spend my time. And that was maybe one, and of course, a specialist and very educated in the supply chain, and we really needed some help in Ensto that time. And that was the idea. And maybe the first, some kind of coaching or mentoring, I can come back that when she had two opportunities, go to Nokian or come to us in Porvoo, nice city there in the eastern Finland somewhere. And I saw her discussing with our people in our negotiation room. We have glass windows there, of course. Just pumped in and said, come to me after discuss with these guys. And then she came and said, I don't think about Einstein, maybe the Nokia is more challenging and better place. Then we discussed, I don't know if it's coaching or mentoring, but I said, okay, you go to Nokia, it's okay, but you get one silo, you know everything about that, but you don't know anything how the company works. If you come to us, you learn everything how the company works and all the other areas also. So you get bigger picture how the company works. Because you are young, you need that kind of knowledge in your future. So your choice, but I just want to describe what I'm asking.
Happy with my decision nowadays.
So the way I hear it, it wasn't so much coaching.
And that was maybe some kind of start for the long cooperation and coaching and then mentoring, I think. They are a little bit different things. We discussed with Annu this before we met 2 weeks ago. So I think coaching is like sharing your experiences and teaching people. Your whole management team must be coached all the time, or your colleagues or whatever, about the facts and how the operations are going, how you should, because everything is not studied in the universities, how the practical life goes. But mentoring is more, then it's more personal relation actually. Then you are going to the life of the mentoree somehow. What is your career plans and how you can help there, and when there, typically when there's new opportunities in the work life, that it must be very trust and very open relation. It takes years, maybe 2-3 years between us to develop that kind of stage. And okay, I have been offered this kind of work from that company now. What should I do? I like to be here, but what is my life plan? And I never give answers directly, but I can ask, think, and I might know the people there in the company. Maybe there are some good people, because I'm always selecting to my people good bosses, so that they can learn more. If there are some assholes there, I said, don't go. Or we are thinking that, okay, if you go there, you learn this kind of segment of the business life, that may be good for the next step. So you have to think 2 steps ahead always, like in Czech. So I think that our relation has changed from this kind of normal coaching to mentoring gradually.
Cool.
Something like that.
Agree.
So it sounds like the coaching relationship really started with more like a shady recruiting scheme or something like that. No, just kidding. So Tutu, what does it then concretely mean that Petteri is coaching you? Like what kind of things does he concretely help you with? Does it have to do with decision
Now,
making?
when you
or-
ask, I have to start thinking because I don't think that I'm coachee and he is coacher because I think we are friends. But if I think it's an evolution. So if in the beginning I think that I was a girl from countryside, I have no engineers or any business people around me. I have artist teacher as a father and Finnish teacher as mother. So I was quite virgin in that sense that everything was new. And in that sense, in the beginning, it was the whole business life, the logic, the big picture, strategic thinking, things like that, which are very important helpers in the beginning of the career to start learning things like that. And the things behind the textbooks, the situations where you don't know if the boss is difficult or if some team member is difficult, how to handle that type of situations, things like that. So it starts from those things, but of course when the times go by, it comes, you can discuss whatsoever things. If you take your friends, you can typically, the deeper is the relationship, the more things you include the discussion, so it can be whatsoever.
Right. Does something concrete come to your mind where Petteri has helped you along your career? Something that you maybe can reveal to us?
Maybe let's generalize a little bit. It's typically when there is a proposal or momentum to think if I start with a current job or should I take the offer which I have got from somewhere else. So to put the pros and cons and what are, as Petteri mentioned, that what would you like to do in the future? So in which direction to go and what are the things there, how they affect on the family life and things like that. So making the right questions there.
Right. Cool.
And maybe also the network, I think, of course. I have learned probably from Petteri or somebody else, I have some others also in my network to tell these good stories, that when you are in the middle of the network, you should have 20 years older sparring partners, and then you should have also 20 years younger partners in your network, and that is also one way to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
So I probably need more like your age people in my
can be your
network
coach as well.
because I think that those old guys I have enough already.
Oh, come on. Let's talk nicer about
Good
Petteri.
old guys,
Yeah.
wise men, I would say, and women. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really cool. Wise men. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Petteri, so Tutu already mentioned about like a really good coaching or mentoring relationship being more of, or you guys also as friends. So what have you received from this coaching relationship with Tutu?
Of course, when you have all my coaches, they are not so many, because you have to spend time with them also. They are all brilliant people. They know new things, what I don't know maybe. I'm learning also what's happening, the new technologies, new things in the university, whatever, and I like to take also mentors from the, let's say, in the fourth class in the university or something, to understand what's happening in the new teaching and what kind of things they are learning there, what is missing. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's both ways you are getting experiences, how the generation Y and X and Z and whatever is coming after that, how they think about the world. The values are changing in the youths, and they are not the same values what my generation had.
Can you give a concrete example of something that you've learned from someone you've been coaching or mentoring, of what's new with the world?
No. I don't know where I have learned, maybe not directly from Tutu, but Tutu has been part of the picture I have in my life. When I started coaching, maybe 80s, when I was first time in boss position, and I found out that there are very brilliant, good ladies, capable ladies in the organization, but they didn't want to take the profit and loss responsibilities. They like to be more in the staff there and researcher or whatever. And I have been encouraging those always. I was curious how they managed, because that was not mode that time, not fashionable. It's more discussion now. And they all have succeeded very well. And that's encouraging people and learning also how to make this kind of change in the attitudes in your environment, also the change in the attitudes of the ladies. Because especially that time, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, many capable ladies needed some kind of support to take the responsibility and proceed in their career with those capabilities they have, really. And Tutu is a very good example taking these challenges and also telling of all the pain and the things what happens now. And you learn different things from the organizational life also, because typically it's not the bullshit that ladies and men, they think different way, and they look different things there and what happens there, and those tones are important to understand when you are developing the people and developing the company. So this kind of the lady point of view and perspective is very important, generally. And Tutu is one very good example of that, giving that.
Yay, cool.
Because she's making notices and watching what happens, and then telling, hey, what do you think about this and this?
Yeah. I'd like to a little bit talk about the different kind of forms of coaching, because as we just discussed with our audience, we saw that roughly like maybe 1/5 of you, or maybe like 20% or something, has a dedicated coach or mentor at the moment, and the rest of us don't. And I've actually, something to share about my past is that I always, when I started at the Technical University 13 years ago, as a freshman, and I kept hearing about this, like, especially as a girl, you must have a mentor to make it in the business world and so on. And I always felt bad that I should do probably something about it, like what should I do? Should I enroll in a program to get a mentor or something? And I always had this kind of nagging in my brain that I should get a coach or a formal mentor. And then just like actually prepping for this discussion, I started to think about it more, and I think I've received a whole lot of coaching, but I've never had a dedicated official coach. And I think the different kind of informal forums that probably 80% of the audience are also enjoying at the moment also grant some attention. For example, if I think about where I received the coach, I would not be here if it wasn't for all the people that have been helping and mentoring and coaching me in different ways, even though it's not been in such a sort of a dedicated relationship between two people. It's been a lot about peer-to-peer mentoring as well, and peer-to-peer coaching. It can be informal just among friends, or it can be in some of our more professional clubs or whatever we have at the university or later on at work. And it's also, for me, a really, really important part of everyday working relationships with my own team, but also with clients. And it's kind of like to have this coaching mentality. So I would like to ask you, Tutu, first, like what kind of informal formats, in addition to this relationship you have with Petteri, what kind of informal formats of coaching have you experienced in your career, and how have they helped you?
Yeah. In the beginning, I want to say this is informal, so it never has been formal, and I have to say that I prefer informal way of doing things in this perspective. I think it's more like an attitude. I'm very open person. I cannot be shy, and I'm typically telling what I'm thinking. And if there are around me people like that, it's quite natural that value added starts to happen when people are open and discuss things. But what then makes it sparring or coaching? Probably one thing is that if you have outside the working hours, possibility to meet people, those people who are value-added, interesting human beings, if you have possibility to meet them, for example, along the hobbies. I have to say Petteri has taught me how to hunt, so hunting atmosphere is very good starting point for sparring or good dialogue with coaching issues. Then also I have a couple of sports hobbies where I have strange friends coming via sports, but they are also then good environment to start that type of coaching. So that's also good that you you be open the network openings outside the working hours. I think that's one important thing. But of course, then there are, for example, today here is in this hall, there is a lot of people who are belonging to sähkönaiset. I don't know if that is electricity ladies in Finnish. So there are the people who are in the electrical field doing the things, and we have met several times with the culture or anything like that, and there you meet the people. So it's depending on your own interests. You can find the coaching fellows wheresoever.
What has been the most, if you think about, for example, these electricity ladies? I like how it sounds in English. what you really like gotten from them? Because now we talk a lot about networking, which I think is still a little bit different from coaching as such, like something where they've helped you in your decision making, or is there something concrete that you've gotten from these?
At least I think that I'm from the supply chain management side, so the value chains are very important for me. So if you know people, for example, along the value chain, somebody is supplier for the wholesaler, and the wholesaler is selling the products for the end user and things like that. So if you have the people who are then together representing the different parts, the designers and things like that. So if you want to also strengthen your knowledge about the whole value chain, it's very value added to know the people along the chain and share the information there. So I don't know if that's coaching, but that's one example of how to make 1 + 1 more than 2.
Yeah, exactly. So Petteri, you've been known as a person who dedicates a lot of your time actually to different kind of coaching and mentoring. So tell us about some of the formats that you practice, and which of them do you think works and why?
I was thinking here what kind of examples I could maybe tell. One simple example, when I go to the technical university, it's Aalto or something, to our school of DM, and there are the young students maybe preparing for the thesis or something, and I'm telling that there are 2 universities what they are going through. The one is all the lectures and all you make the examinations and tests and so. But the other universities, they're going to the student union or the clubs or whatever do, and all the hobbies and know people, because there you get the friends for life. They are not working fellows, because in the working life very seldom those friendships are lasting more than the working career together. So you need those kind of friends. This is, let's say, this parallel coaching and networking somehow. That's very important. Then I was 1 month ago, again I have every September so far continuing one lecture there in the Tampere Technical University in operations strategy. And the professor many years ago asked that I am teaching those students there everything what is in the operation strategy from the book and so. But please, Petteri, come here and tell what then really happened in the real life when you are planning everything by the book, but then something happens. Actually, it was Tutu's husband asked me, but it is continued also the next professor the same scheme. And I'm telling actually the life examples from the business life, that's kind of coaching and teaching the students things what they cannot read from the books. And then giving learnings and, hey, take care of this kind, these things, you have to watch these and these and these, and what you learn from these cases. And I have much more cases what I can tell in 2 hours, because they're all lived by myself or very close, so I know the facts. So that's maybe the second phase coaching, sharing the experiences about the things what is not teach in the university.
I have sorry.
And the third comes this personal coaching or mentoring. Then this is a different level. It's more personal, and it's also important that because many people they think so that the bosses that I have very good team of people now, they are very capable. I like them, they're performing very well. But then for mentoring people like me, I learned that I have to also lose them. It's time to take and time to give. And for example, Tutu, it came that, okay, how many, maybe 5 years in Enst or something.
A little bit more, but yes, couple kids, yeah.
About. Then I thought, okay, now you have learned this thing, you have learned this thing and this, and you have been the managing director in one of our subsidiaries, how to run the company. And then I know she must learn something more, different area of the business life. She has learned everything business-wise from me, not life-wise. And then I called to my one friend that I think you need one good lady to your management team to take care of that and that. Do you mean Tutu? But yes. And she went to YIT. So I called to the CEO, Hanhinen. So you have to also coach you and mentor your people so that forward and give up, even you like them. Because it's good for her. I can manage, I can take a new one.
Yes, one thing connected to this, I don't know if Petteri noticed it or not, but one thing is that typically when talking about coaching and mentoring, they are typically those strategic thinking and things like that. But I think one thing is also very important, why I like Petteri. Petteri has so big heart and he is human being, so that also keeping all the time in mind that we are human beings, we are not only the workers or bosses or whatsoever CEOs. And I think that's also very important if we only have one life and if we want to live fully. So it's important also that the mentor is the whole life-oriented, not only business-oriented person. For example, I don't know, Petteri not tell me what to do, but at least you don't say no when I said that now I have 5 kids and every now and then I told him that I'm pregnant. so that's also one thing and that's one tip for you youngsters there, that if somebody tries to tell you that you have to decide either you have the family or you have the career, don't believe.
To my ear, a little bit, sorry.
Just to continue there, because it's very delicate for ladies especially, because there's a lot of discussion about the career and family. And it was maybe Tutu also, and some other coaches also, or mentor ladies coming what do you think, that they have a plan now to get the second kid? And not of course. Because if you are in the management team member and you think you're carried and what happens then, and so of course more kids, they pay my
pension. Yeah.
Pensions. I always support, because it's normal life and they come back. And it's I don't see any issue there.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't minimize the dilemma some women as well as men go through with thinking about family and careers, but good point there as well. Thinking of all of these things that you're now talking about, in some way they sound to my ear as components of good leadership, how we see leadership today. You're talking about, being a human being rather than a robot in a factory or something like that, showing that someone cares about the development of your career, also not just in this company, but in a kind of like broader sense, and also offering some perspective to inner struggles and so on. So what would you say to the claim that, in a way, what we're now describing as coaching is just a mechanism to make up for the lack of good leadership?
I think that, no, you're very right. It's leadership. It's people. People is all in business, whatever. And the good leadership, that means I'm teaching or telling to youngsters in the university, remember, there is a big company, you need a management structure, there are different layers maybe, so to steer the company. That doesn't mean that you have some right to put down the others. Everybody is the professional in his or her own professional position, whatever. Everybody is needed. I'm said to the people in the factory, I'm not hiring only hands and feet from you. I need your brains, because you are building houses and you're repairing your scooters or whatever. A lot of skills there, different skills, and that can be utilized in the company. Respect all people. I have very poor conditions coming up also. So I know that.
I think that this is not, in Finnish I say I'm sekä että girl, not joko tai. Meaning that it's not or, it's and. So that you can have a good boss at your official work, but still I have Petteri and a couple of others. So I don't think that it's only one person who creates the leadership. I think it's a wider scale of network and caring around you, so that you try to be provocative, but I don't think so that we should stop coaching because of its lack of poor leadership. I think we can get more leadership. There is no maximum level of good leadership.
Yeah. No, that wasn't my point at all.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have coaching. It was more about maybe the coaching being also a part of what I see as good leadership and what I expect from myself as a team leader is a lot of these components we're talking about.
Normal
And it's the more the better, as you said. I can see that we're soon out of our time, so I would really love to. Now, if there's someone in the audience that's like, yeah, this sounds good, coaching, sure. It's probably something I should have, something that could help me like accelerate my career or find the things that I really feel passionate about maybe a little bit faster or better. What should a person like that do? Concrete advice to the amazing audience who want to find more coaching and mentoring in this sekä että principle.
Yeah. Maybe one thing is that be open, be interested in people or human beings. That's the starting point of starting to create the relationship between two people. And then probably, as you mentioned, that you was a little bit afraid that you don't have the official mentor, don't push too hard. I think also I was studying at the technical university where were quite many men and not so many women, and I saw those guys who was pushing too hard. And it's not the best way to get a girlfriend. So also here that if you are trying too hard, it might not happen. So in that sense also try to be natural and find the network. So if you try to do it more too officially, it won't happen.
So play hard to get.
Yeah.
In relationships, also in coaching. That's good. Always good. What about you, Petteri? Any words of wisdom to the audience?
I think quite the same. Be curious. Don't hesitate asking things and to learn more. That the relation is coming if it's coming. If you want to be mentoring, really, not the coaches.
Can I also, sorry.
One last word, because we have 15 seconds. Try hunting, start hunting. That's very good networking.
Okay.
Agree.
Hunting, curiosity, and playing hard
Then
to
is a lot
get.
of time to discuss there.
Yeah.
And that's networking and that's everything.
Yeah. Can I give one final advice actually to the audience, which is
Time.
I think I think the same as with a lot of things. If you want to receive something, start giving it. At least for me, the best coaching that I've received has been when I've actually started helping others. And I wanted to just coach other people and help other people. In that process, I've also received the best coaching I've ever had. And one of my favorite parts was a couple of weeks ago, there's this professor that I really admire and really respect, and we've been sparring in a couple of things, and I really felt like I was at the receiving end of the discussion, but he just sent me an email saying that he wants to thank me a lot for this coaching relationship and all that he's received from me, and would like to make sure that I know that he'll be willing to reciprocate or like give back whenever needed. And I was like, okay, wow, this is a really win-win situation if both people feel like they are at the receiving end. So my tip would be also to start giving and start helping another woman or man in technology to go forward. That way you also receive.
Yeah.
Andre, did you have some questions for us?
I do, actually. A lot of people admire all of you and are really looking for a mentor. So please, if you're looking for some mentees, I think there are a lot of people in the audience. What I'm reading between the lines on the Twitter feed is inspiring, but I'm also hearing something that it would be good to know, because you're saying, here's my advice, this is what you should do. Mm-hmm. Only one person, and it was you, Tutu, who said, what not to do. Don't push too hard as a mentee. But what would you say that a mentor should not do?
Not make decision for the other people. Everybody's own lives managing director. You can describe the challenges and plus and cons and open different windows for when considering different alternatives. But
don't
I never make decision for the other people.
Thank you. That's very wise. Tutu, would you have an idea?
I don't know exact things, but one example I have, and that's tough part of the mentoring, but I think it's very important also. When you get in the position where I am, you don't get too much feedback. Of course, I get it from my husband and from my 5 kids all the time.
Very open.
But yeah, very open and direct. But outside that, not too much. And it's also a tough part of for example, Petteri, to tell me that if there are some features which are not so positive, so how you handle the situation that you tell to the person you really like that hey, watch a little bit more that, and it's quite tough part there in the relationship also, because it's not so easy to hear the things which are quite not so positive ones from the person. But I think it's very important, because those are the ones which are then probably getting you forward.
Yeah.
Well.
Sheila Heen, The Art of Giving and Receiving Feedback. Wonderful book, Harvard Business Review. Beautiful, beautiful lady. The Sheila Heen, great book on this topic. If you're, but a big issue. The feedback is so sensitive, and you're in such a tight relationship when you're a mentor that you have to be able to do that in a constructive way. Yes.
I would. That's just very right what Tutu said. It's not coaching anymore. Telling about the quite personal, quite difficult things, and then it's needed trust and openness. Long time. It's mentoring really. We have had some discussions on certain issues, and I was hesitating, do I take it? But then I have to do it for Tutu, and she took it, and I think it's developing her. But that's mentoring really. Then it's very personal, going through some, let's say,
but it's
difficult issues.
The truth.
Yeah.
And trust. Wonderful.
Trust is
any insights from you?
From what a mentor or coach should not do. Well, I think one of the mistakes sometimes is done in coaching and mentoring is that if you let your ego get in the way and kind of use mentoring and coaching just as a way to feel good about what you've done yourself, or kind of like to tell a story of your life. I sometimes realize myself when I'm coaching someone younger that, hey, now I'm just telling something about how this happened for me particularly. I have no idea about this person's life. So I think that's something that always to keep in mind when you're giving coaching and mentoring, to
listen
really
more.
Check your ego at the door and really listen to that person's particular story and not get caught up in when I was younger and this happened, because that rarely helps anyone.
Thank you, all three of you, Annu, Tutu, and Petteri. Thank you so much for those insights.
Thank you.
Kiitoksia. Thank you for sharing. Yes.